We used our epoxy resin to create this beautiful white and gold agate art panel. Watch how stunning it looks hung up in this home. Tylor will walk you through the step-by-step process of coating this board, showing you the technique he used to get this look. You can get beautiful art pieces using our epoxy. Check the description below for all the links to the products used in this video.
All right, so we're gonna do another one of these wall panels. They're really cool and they're really easy to do as long as you build the frame under them. That way you have them perfectly level, or build a level table, right? We wanna make sure this is level both ways, and they're very flimsy. So you gotta make sure you have braces going all across them. That way there is no flex to it. There's no unlevelness to it when we're coating it. Second thing you wanna do, sand it, scuff it up, sand your edges, make sure they're kind of rounded, that when we pull the tape, the resin can flow over. The next thing to dam it off, because it's such a thin edge, we're not able to put tape on that face like we typically would on a countertop with a 2-inch lip. So we came up with this process, which is very, very cool. We do blue tape on the edge, about a, I don't know, 1/4 inch in. So we just tape on the top of the panel, and then we do weather stripping on top of the tape, because if you tape weather stripping to our primer, it's pretty sticky still. It has a tendency to kind of leave some residue and stuff behind, because this stuff can get really sticky. So by doing the tape first, we can easily pull this stuff off. It pulls a clean line. Just make sure when you guys are priming that you're putting epoxy over that primer within that 2-hour window. You don't want to wait longer than that, or the primer is going to become a sealed surface and become really, really hard, because it is an epoxy based primer. All right, for the mixing process, again, this is a really simple technique, really easy to achieve this look I'm going to show you. So we have our pigmented white 1.5 gallons, and then pigmented white, our 3-quart kit, because when we do this process, we need to do 8 ounces per square foot. That's what our stone kit process calls for, because we don't want to have to touch the resin. We want it to level out and fill everything all on its own. So we need to make 8 ounces per square foot. So you take your square footage, times it by 8, and that's how many ounces you need to make. So I have that right here. Next thing, we need 2 5-gallon buckets. One's for pouring all the resin out, the A and the B, mixing it, and then we dump it into a secondary mixing container, mix it again, and I'll kind of go over that step next. Supplies I'm gonna need: a paddle, a drill. I'm gonna be doing the pours out of some 24-ounce cheap plastic cups. Very, very inexpensive, because we are just throwing those away. And then I'm gonna be doing a lot of Leggari gold effects, because these are just absolutely stunning, especially when they're mixed with white. You're gonna need a 5-gallon stir stick. I like to get 1 or 2 of those. Obviously gloves, and that's pretty much it. So for this one, we're gonna go towards kind of like an agate design. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw out my line that I'm gonna follow with a Sharpie. That way when I'm pouring out my beads, I really only need to get 1 or 2 lines, and then I can just kind of keep following that. And since we have this dammed up, it shouldn't move a whole lot. It might move a little bit, but that's nature. that's what nature does, right? It's never perfect. So I'm gonna start out, most agates kind of have like a little cutout in the middle. So what I'm thinking is I'll draw this out. I'll kind of pour a bigger bead out through here, and then I'll start going around and doing the kind of the pattern outside of that center. So we'll do like that. So now it's just basically the patterns are just following that. So what I'll do is I'll start my bead out here, get a couple layers out there, and then I'll fill this in so it doesn't have anywhere to go out there. And we'll do that process next. So I theoretically don't really need any lines out here because I'm gonna just kind of keep following that pattern all the way out. All right, we're gonna make a little mess here, but that is all right. We're gonna line these up. Now to get really cool veins on the surface, we need to add the effects to the top. So we'll be doing that all throughout pouring. Make sure you guys shake up your effects before you use them. Like I said, I got 3 effects here. I want a lot of gold, and I also want some of those effects kind of muted into the white. All right, so now we have kind of our pattern that we're gonna follow. I'm not gonna pour on it exactly, leave some gaps where I can come back in and add some to it. So all I'm doing is just adding the effects into the top, and that's what's getting me those real solid gold spots out here. And then if you want to add, say we want to add some gold in here, I can just run this right through the middle and take my fingers and just follow that. All right guys, so I'm just gonna spritz it now with isopropyl alcohol, 91%. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do some really tight fracture veins. Pour it on there, it's gonna slowly drip down. And then we just run that through it. You get these really tight fracture veins, and you can add those obviously wherever, kind of randomly throughout it. So when you guys are doing the fracture veins, make sure you're doing that after the isopropyl, because if you do your fracture veins, you spritz it, the isopropyl is gonna kind of break those fracture veins up and it won't be as solid of a piece. So do that and then spritz it first, isopropyl, do your fracture veins, and then when you mist it with denatured, we always like to mist after isopropyl the whole surface, and that'll help it lay out glass smooth, and that won't affect the fracture veins.